Yeah, I've never done an interview with an eyeball beside of me, so that's cool, I guess.
I know. I feel very seen right now.
So my name is Alex. I have a YouTube and also an Instagram Love Sugar Show, and I want to thank you for taking your time for doing this interview this late at night.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. So the first question that I ask anyone that I interview is, how's everything going, not just musically, but also in your personal life?
I just got a raise at work, so pretty goddamn good.
Yay.
Yay. So that just means I can buy some more toys. So
Is that what
save
you
money. Save money. Why would I do that?
I mean, that's crazy. That sounds like an adult thing and not as fun.
Man, I don't do that. No. Except in my interpersonal relationships, then we act very adult. But my life, but my life and my fun are very much still stuck in 1986.
So I have to ask for everyone who's interested, what kind of action figures and things do you collect?
Oh, I mostly do GI Joe. That's some GI Joes right there. And then I have fun with some other shit. Like I have King Kong over here. There's King Kong.
That's pretty cool.
He's gorgeous. So mostly just fun stuff. I like to do toy photos because I'm not actually going to sit around and play with toys like that. But I'll set them up and play with them like a kid for a second until I get a nice photo, and that's my relaxing time. That's my me time. That's me. I don't have to work with other band members right now. They can't tell me how to compose this shot.
Exactly.
So that's my fun time.
Well, awesome. So let's talk about the album.
Yes, this our new slash old album.
Yes. So this album offers a glimpse into the early days. What
Yeah.
do you hear now when you listen to it?
Um, Frankly, the weirdest thing I heard because you have to understand, I hadn't heard this recording when we got it in our hands for almost 20 years, maybe 20, like about 20 years, and I barely remembered even recording it.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like a surprise to us that anybody like, but I heard it and I was like, wow, there's a lot. This is a little bit. I don't want to sound too egotistic, but I was like, wow, we were a lot more capable than I gave us credit for. Like I was just like, wow, okay, cool. Like we actually were kind of able to play our instruments much better than I realized for like a demo, as it were. Obviously, anytime you go to the studio, you got a little bit of trickery and punching in, but the demo was recorded under very primitive conditions, and the fact that it sounded as good as it does is one, a testament to Angela Barr, a former guitar player who like mixed and engineered it. But also, I was like, wow, we actually practiced like 3 to 4 times a week and actually knew these songs before we went out on tour. Like we had to actually be able to play them front to back with no punch-ins and get the parts right, because that's how we had to record this thing.
So I guess it's pretty unbiased though, because if you haven't heard it for 20 years, you could listen to it again and say, "Oh, this was not very good."
Yeah, well, yeah, that's I sort of wish maybe I'd like our first record better if I hadn't been listening to it for 25 years and picking it apart for all those years. Maybe if I heard it now, I'd be like, this is a charming first effort by a bunch of idiots that are doing their best they can. But instead, I'm like, God, we sucked.
Well, at least you listen to it and you're like, "Wow, this is actually okay. Like this is good."
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't anybody who hasn't heard it yet that's listening to on watching your show, like and we wouldn't put it out if we didn't think it was listenable. And I think it's pretty decent. And it's about the best substitution we can legally make for being able to put out Mondo Medicale. So it was kind of a gift that it fell into our hands.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, is there any gear or any techniques that you were using like way back then that feel like really ancient now that you're like, I would never use that again or have evolved?
Well, I definitely okay. My personal bass rig, yeah, no, that shit was trash. I don't know, like what the hell I was thinking. I didn't know how to. I didn't know when I look back. My ohms were mismatched between my head and my cabinet, and it was this crappy little cabinet. And the fact that it sounded decent at all in those circumstances is kind of crazy to me. I had no idea what I was doing. Um, like none. The pedals I was using were terrible. I was my bass was pretty cool. I had a BC Rich at least. So, but I only got it because it was pointy. I didn't think about sound very often.
Mhm.
So yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and in terms of the recording of this particular release that's out now, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody to do it the way we did it. It's a miracle that it sounds good, and I again have to give all the credit to Andrew LeBar, our former guitar player, who mixed and engineered this and Mondo Medicale, because he was recording this shit on like an 8-track CDR, like mini disc recorder, which I think were only made for the few years that mini discs were around.
Yeah.
Do you know what a mini disc is?
I was
Have you
about
ever?
to say, I know what a CD is, but I don't think I know what a mini disc is. I think that was
Yeah,
before my time.
the very short-lived recording medium. And so they were like about this big, and they were kind of like CDs, but they it was the same kind of, imagine a small CD, but like in like a little square container. I'm not
Hmm.
even sure I'm remembering it correctly because these things were so short-lived. But they did make these things, and that's how he was. They were re-recordable, unlike, and he was CDRs were around, but these were like the big one. They were like, you can re-record on these things, blah blah blah. You may fuck tapes. You're not going to ever use tapes again. Mini disc disappeared, but he did this all on 8 tracks. Now you think about like 8 tracks. It's like, okay, well, there's already 3 stringed instruments. We got 3 vocalists, an entire drum set. The amount of like bouncing he had to do between tracks, like, okay, we got the drums. Now I have to mix this all down to 1 track. Now I can get
Hmm.
the guitars. And then to have that all balanced as good as it does is like kind of incredible to me. But like that's just what we had to do back in the day, and what Andrew was able to pull off and make sound good.
That's impressive. I didn't even know you could do things with things like that.
Yeah, I mean now you can go, you can open up a Pro Tools file and you can continue recording tracks as like, terabytes of information. You can
Hmm.
have I don't, hundreds of tracks on a song when you never have to delete anything. In this case, he had to make sure he had that sound locked in for the drums, and then it was like, hope that blends with the guitar well, because there was no changing it after that. So
Stuck like that forever.
yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, it's akin to tape recording that they had to do back in the day. Like you didn't have infinite number of like redos. You kind of had to get it right first, and that's what I really enjoyed listening to this record, because that we were able to do that. So we were actually kind of on our game at that point, more than I thought.
Well, that's cool. So I have to ask, do you feel like this demo also holds up nowadays with today's music and like the bands that are out now?
Some recordings, yes, that's me throwing shade on some people who still can't get a good sound. But I think I think it does hold up. I think people will like it, especially it has like a kind of a unique sound to it. It's hard to find unique sounds in modern recordings. It happens, but it's like there are so many tools out there that everybody uses
Hmm.
to like either like replace kick drum hit, or like everybody's kind of wants the same kind of guitar tone over and over for the most part. So a lot of stuff does end up, especially on like a more major label thing, kind of ends up sounding, the songs are good, the vocalist can sound very different, but it's like the actual music, the production is not as varied as I necessarily would like it, having grown up
Hmm.
in the 80s through 90s, when you went to a different studio because you liked the sound of that studio. Now it's more like, can the studio just churn out the exact same kind of thick guitar tone that like most death metal records are going to have?
Hmm.
There are people who stand out, obviously, like uh, Earhammer recordings, like Greg Wilkinson from there definitely has like a unique sound to him. Um, like, but it's more rare to find these days. But I think this still sounds loud, well mixed, but it it it's definitely less polished than a modern recording, which I think is kind of the fun and charm of it.
Hmm.
So I think people will hear that and like it sounds well, it sounds good, it's played well, but it's like it definitely it's not a $15,000 studio record. It's still a demo, but it's going to sound a lot better than you expected to.
Well, I think the demos, and like you said, it doesn't have like that polished sound, but it brings a uniqueness to it because everything is like so perfect nowadays. And it's like, I don't know, I really liked it because it didn't have like the perfect sound. Like I'm like, yes, this feels really real.
If you really like music that sounds more live, I think this is kind of going to be like an enjoyable, like little. Um, I mean, it's a tidbit of like our history for Impaled for people who are like interested in Impaled and or just any kind of like um, the creative process in general, because like certain things changed on this, and it's just kind of interesting that like the effort that we were like putting into, so we didn't waste our money in a studio. We tried to record this demo and put together like something that was near studio ready. Um, but it has a certain vibrancy and energy because we really had to actually be like jamming these songs as opposed to like, yeah, there's no click track involved in this. It was like
Mhm.
Raul go and we're playing along with you, and that's it. Like that was kind of what we just had to do.
Yeah. So I have to ask, if you remade this album now, what would you change?
Um, if I don't think I would change a damn thing on Mondo Medicale, and I don't say that lightly. There's definitely every record I have, I would have changed something, but I'm always been happy with how Mondo Medicale came out over probably everything I've ever done and still continue to do. There's always like little tweaks you always want to make, but I was like Mondo Medicale came out. I was really happy with it, and I think we gave it our best. And I don't think I would change a damn thing about it.
Well, that's awesome. So I have to ask, since this is a old new record, is there any like other things that may resurface in the future that's from a while ago?
No, no, we don't have any more surprises. This was a surprise to us as well, like a couple years back, and we sat on it for a little bit. And I got the story. Our the former guitar player Andrew, like got it to Sean's hands, and Sean was like, "Holy shit!" And then Andrew passed away, and I think he was maybe he knew he was as ill as he was. He had like died from complications from ALS, but we
Yeah.
didn't know. Nobody had seen him in person in a long, long time, and so I kind of feel like he made sure that we had it just for ourselves. But then I was like, well, you made sure we had it, so I want to make sure everybody hears it. And it took a couple of years to kind of like work through the strangeness of how we got this in our hands, and then in what way we wanted to present it. And hopefully we presented it respectfully as you can, with a guy getting his like face ripped apart on the cover of a death metal record. But and give like a little eye to the creative process, and maybe show like a little bit of we wanted to like keep it separate from Mondo Medicale. It's not a replacement, but it's like kind of like a 0.5, like a little addition. And especially since some we can't get Mondo Medicale out at all these days, like right now, legally speaking. So it kind of was like this strange gift where Andrew was like, "Hey, here's a piece of the history that is out of print." Even I mean, the demo's never been in print, but it's like it slots in there, and it definitely fills like a void I had, that we couldn't like kind of have this material available for people to listen to, and to like to give the work that we put into it, to like to share that with the audiences out there.
Well, that's awesome. So, as a band, have you ever been like under any pressure to take things, I guess, more seriously or clean up the image, or has gore just kind of always been a part of who the band is?
Um, nobody has ever, because we've worked with a few labels through the years, and even like at least one big one, and they never had a problem with the gore. They definitely had a problem, at least with Century Media, with the production, and I can't, in retrospect, fault them for that. So the one record we did with Century Media, it's a fun record, it's an interesting record, but it's definitely, we could have made some different decisions, and we could have played a little more ball with them for sure. So, and maybe listen to a little advice, but they never ever came down on us creatively in terms of like the music we wrote, how we were presenting it or the artwork or anything like that. They were just like, yeah, this mix isn't very good. You guys should work on this harder. We're like, no, fuck you. We're punk rock. This is the one we want. Who's to say? So, but no, I've never felt that pressure. In fact, in some cases, I mean, Impaled is banned in like 680 million countries now or something. There's that was like a PR tactic that was like embraced by labels. It was kind of we got in a little bit of trouble for some of our covers with like reviewers at the time, and the pressing plants wouldn't press like the cover for Choice Cuts, the EP with like a baby being served on a salad platter. They wouldn't press it. The label was like, don't change a thing. We'll put a little sensor cover over it. We'll find another pressing plant, but like, we're going to use this. We love this kind of controversy.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It's awesome to hear like the stories and like things that you've overcame as a band and just kind of like how you overcame them.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just kind of always wanted to make sure that we never felt like we weren't doing our own thing and that we were always very true to just like how we were at rehearsal. And now you can hear the rehearsal.
Yeah. So, what do you remember most about the scene when you first started out when this was being released versus now?
The scene was much smaller than it is now. Impale was one of the earlier bands on the internet, so we had kind of a little bit of a cheat code. It was a cheat
Mhm.
code then. Now it's like swamped, right? But
Yeah.
back in the day, it was like no, like we were on like Usenet groups and weird things that like Leon was doing because he was very very integral of that. But we had like a website before most bands, even before Friendster, before wistful times, before Facebook, before MySpace, before Friendster, before Yahoo groups. We had an online presence, and that was kind of rare. So we were getting like kind of word out in a different way than a lot of other bands had been, that differently than Exhumed had done when I was in the band, when we were having to actually do pen pals and write letters.
Hmm.
Um, but the actual live scene was so much more minuscule and small. Some of my favorite bands growing up just didn't even exist anymore, like Carcass and Dismember weren't really did. Carcass was gone. Dismember wasn't doing anything. Nobody was like really touring. New metal was more the thing, and so the death metal scene, at least where I lived, it was so small. We were like ended up playing lots of shows with punk rock bands, and there was a beauty to that
Hmm.
kind of cross pollination of music and ethics and the hardworking kind of musician ethos that like we got, and I feel like we still carry with us, like in
Hmm.
us, and still like want to do things ourselves. And I feel like that's it was partially because we had to, but it feels good in the end to not just be hey, I wrote a couple songs. Now I'm just gonna like farm it out to some different musicians and hire a cover artist, and the label's gonna make sure the right producer mixes it. It's like
Hmm.
having gone through that experience of like a little more of a trying time. I feel it like hardened me, but it also like enriched me in a lot of ways.
So I have to ask, did the band have a MySpace?
We absolutely we had a MySpace, and that shit was customized. We had the great background, and we even had it so you could download everything to add it to your background on MySpace. I was very on top of that shit. Um, Facebook took that from us. It took the music player. It took the
That's
five
true.
favorite songs.
And you can't
My
even put who your top fans or friends are on Facebook either.
I I know. I was just explaining. I was like social media. I tried to explain to someone recently. I was like, social media peaked MySpace right before Fox News bought it. That was it, and it's been downhill ever since.
Yeah.
The internet used to be the Wild West, and it was you could get into code on websites and change things and do things and meet weird people. And now it's like, oh God, I got to clean up this message because my aunt's on here too, and she's really upset about this. And like, you know, it's not what it used to be.
Exactly. Those are the
Hey,
good days.
yeah, those are the good. I'm not trying to say, hey, there's plenty of cool shit out there. Like, keep fighting the good fight for indie creative arts and everything like that. Like, never stop fighting. Don't give up. And in 10 years time, there's going to be something that we have right now that we're going to say like, shit, that was better then.
True. So looking back at this demo, does it feel kind of like a product of your youth, or how do you feel about it? Is it like a masterpiece or like a history part of the band, or what would you categorize it as?
I mean, it's definitely part of my own personal history that I carry with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's definitely like a slice in time where things worked a certain way and there's energy, but I don't like, for myself at least, saying it's like a part of my youth. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of like how I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish on this demo that people can hear now. And I'm very happy how that informed the record that I'm extremely proud of. But I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I've ever stopped putting the best I can do at any time into anything. And there's, it is a mark of my history and it is from my youth, but but hey, I don't fucking feel old yet. I know I look a little older. I got a few more, like, I got, you know, crow's feet, I got gray hair, but like, I feel healthier and happier now than I did then. I was definitely happier, definitely an angsty ass youth, but like that isn't to say that like I don't still have like a drive to push out new things and do fun new things. And I think hopefully I want people to always feel that. I don't want this to be, I don't want Mondo Medicale to be like my high school football trophy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, no, I want to keep throwing the ball.
That's cool. I have to ask, what's the secret to feeling young for the listeners? Because I need some.
Uh, what's the secret? Well, I'm not going to lie. There's a couple of nice skin creams out there. Wear sunscreen. You should, every day. You know, there's like that kind of stuff. But then it's also just like keeping yourself open to new things, to not
Mhm.
always keep like shitting on things that come up around you and trying to understand them. Even when I was like in my late 20s, I was like, what the, like, I felt old then in some ways because I was like, well, what is this music that people are into now? And when I was 16, I was like, well, why don't I check it out? And
Yeah.
like some of it I like, some of it I don't.
Mhm.
Some of it's absolute fucking garbage. Still don't understand Limp Bizkit. And they had a resurgence now, and I still don't understand it. But I like, there was a bunch of other shit like Slipknot. I was just like poo pooing it because I was like, oh no, I'm harder than hard. I'm into death metal, incantation only, immolation only. But I'm like, God, some of that shit was fun. Like, it's fine. And I think the other thing, as you get older, if you really want to feel young, is to stop giving a fuck what the world owes you. The world owes you nothing.
Very
You
true.
have to go out there and take the fun and have fun with
Mhm.
what you have. What some corporation puts out, if you're upset about it, find something else. Stop being upset. Go find, we live in a huge, vast world full of amazing music, movies, culture, everything. Don't be pissed that you're not getting force fed the same shit you were when you were 15. Go out and find new shit, and then you will feel new.
I don't think anyone knew that they were going to get like the secret to the Fountain of Youth. So everyone is totally welcome.
I didn't know I was going to be asked about it, and I'm not sure I'm the best source, but that's what I'm doing, and I'm trying to stay vibrant.
Well, you seem happy. Your skin looks really nice, so I trust you.
Sunscreen. I cannot emphasize that enough. My father should have used more.
So on this demo, what song would you choose that you would have a new listener of the band listen to that kind of describes who you are as a band and I guess something that you think that people would really enjoy if you only had to choose one song? First.
Um, yeah. I'm gonna choose. I'm so biased because I want to choose my song, but I don't really want to. I think just check out Dead Inside. That's the first track on Mondo Medicale, and there's a reason it's the first track on Mondo Medicale. It's the first track because we were like, this is the track. This is fully impaled. It tells a gruesome story. We were, you know, lyrically, we were trying to evolve a bit from songs about doo doo and other gross shit that we did on the first record. And it's
Mhm.
like, it's a narrative, it's a story about a group of people trying to spread a new version of the Black Plague, which I kind of envisioned as ourselves. We were kind of trying to encapsulate more of a character-driven lyrical notion than just talking about Ed Gein or some other random serial killers. We were trying to like kind of create our own thing and like be more creative about what we were pursuing. And then the music is just like top-notch Sean McGrath, like in his prime, writing fucking killer riffs that are like really melodic. They're still technical, but very melodic and catchy.
Hmm.
That's the one. Just check out Dead Inside.
Awesome. And it's the first track you said, so
So
it
it's
makes it really easy
also
to
easy to check
remember.
out first.
So, just kind of a fun question, but what's something fans might be surprised to learn about you that you like to do, like a hobby, a secret talent?
Well, let's see. We already went over the toy photos. This- now you're putting me on the spot. Um, I like to. I'm very good at makeup, gory or glam.
That's really
So
interesting. I was not
I can
expecting that.
I I can do a wound, or I can paint you, or I can put on you like the best fucking cat eye you've ever seen.
I really need help with cat eyes. That sounds like magical, especially when you
It
have red eyes. It makes it really hard.
I can give you some nice cat eyes, and then give you a scar right down your cheek that looks hyper real.
That works too.
We do both. Like it's great, glam and gore all together.
Well, that's awesome. Is there any plans for the band? Like, are you guys just chilling out, taking a break, or?
We do shows occasionally. Some people may have written some songs that we think about learning.
Mhm.
Impaled is we're still around. We're still doing it. Just at our pace, leisurely, having fun with it.
So not stressing yourself out because stress would definitely be against the fountain of youth.
Stress is definitely against the fountain. You need to fucking relax. You need to like chill the fuck out.
So one last question. Is there anything that you would like to say to your fans who have been there from the beginning? Anyone who's just finding you, listening to you, just kind of anything you'd like to say?
Um, thanks, thanks. Stay brutal and stay fuck. Two nonsense phrases that I picked up from somebody in Eastern Europe who wrote us in the 90s, and I cannot. It's perfect. Stay brutal, stay fuck.
I like it. And for anyone who is interested, the album did already release, so I will leave a link underneath so it's super easy for you guys to order. And it is a demo, like we've talked about, that happened quite a while ago. I listened to it, I really enjoyed it, but I also love all kinds of metal because metal is life.
Yes.
So make sure to order a copy of it. I'm gonna leave the link there. And I want to thank you so much for doing the interview with me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Cheers, Shaka.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.